Which classic animated comedy short films do you prefer rather than watch Tom and Jerry or Looney Tunes? I don't fucking know. Stop asking me questions, Neozoic. You're a jackass.
What if we just didn't do an intro? What if we just got right into the show?
Yeah, you mean like, oh shit.
Like right now.
Yeah.
Rob's on his phone, not paying attention. He's just so used for us not doing.
We're men, and we're not afraid to say that we love other men.
What up, G?
My life is nothing I thought it should be and everything I was worried it would become, because for 50 seconds I thought there was monsters on the world.
What Augean stable of misery do you live in if you fantasize about driving a bus or sitting on a bench? What's next, a breakfast eating simulator? Oh, careful not to burn your digital toast. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go play an office simulator. Oh, no wait, that's my job.
Whoa, I think I just figured something out, Beavis. What? This sucks. Yeah, it really sucks. This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
Don't take no for an answer. There's no
Can I see more white women getting clotheslined, please?
People don't understand. People don't understand. People like me. Cause these eyes can see right through you. Don't be surprised.
So Snoop Dogg wins the match because Shane McMahon blew his knee out. Damn, that was bad, bro.
People don't understand. People don't understand. No, people don't understand. People don't understand. People don't understand. People don't understand. People like me.
Hey, so we kind of already started the show, and then some of our panelists here decided to throw our good listeners of the show under the bus. Not saying any names here, but figure out who that one was. How you guys doing tonight? It is Barroom episode number 97. I'm fired up. I'm red hot. Orange is fired up. He's red hot. Rob's kind of lukewarm, cold. I guess you could say, right? Is that about right?
Yeah, he's approaching a small kettle burn.
But we are here, and so some of you guys are ready for the ballroom. I see Keith over there on Rumble. We have some people joining us here. Leslie Tarkin's already here with us, saying hello to you, lovely people. We got Vanya joining us here. Neozoic had a very interesting question. I think we should give it a proper time to sit here. He asked, howdy, barroom crew and good folks in the chat. Which classic epic comedy film would you rather watch? The Great Race or It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World? It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World. It's an easy one for me. I don't know about you guys.
Just watch Rat Race, okay? You pretty much get the gist. Just watch that, okay? I can't. Both these movies were like when the studios were dying the first time, and so they're bloated, overstuffed, overly long, lots of spectacle-laden bullshit. So I'm not really a big fan of either one, but yeah, just watch Rat Race.
I have not seen these movies, so I really wouldn't know. I got to be in the right fucking mood to watch movies from like the 50s and 60s. I mean, unless it's Arsenic and Old Lace, then I'll freaking watch that movie all day.
Go back to old Hollywood, that McCarthy Hollywood, back in those good old days. He also says, which classic animated comedy film would you rather watch, Tom and Jerry or Looney Tunes? I gotta say, it's probably been about almost 30 years since I've watched either or, but for nostalgia purposes, I would go to Looney Tunes. So I don't know about you two.
You know,
yeah, I'm a big Warner Brothers fan, so I'd go Looney Tunes as well.
I'm one of those guys that will go by, I think it's that El Dorado cartoon movie where the two people are like, both is good. Yeah, both. Mm-hmm. So, there yeah, both.
Boba Fett joining us here tonight. Orange wondering just how much you heard. I would say almost all of it. Even Neil's so extended.
Oh, I heard it. Love ya.
Good old fashioned read for our good buddy Boba Fett here. Leslie's going with Mad World. Brandon joining us here saying hello to everyone. Neozoic saying hello, Brandon. Maurice Johnson joining us here as well too. Make sure, like I said, you guys have your bells on, because I can tell from the start of the show when YouTube does not send out notifications for my show, and I'm assuming that many of you guys did not get notifications that the show has started, but the show is in fact starting. So here we go. Yeah, we're gonna start off. What you gonna say?
I got a Rumble. I was gonna say I got a Rumble notification. I didn't get a YouTube notification.
I wonder why, right? I wonder why Rumble sends out notifications and not YouTube. It's almost like they're suppressing people and stuff like that, right? Oh, you did in fact up 6 minutes ago. There we go. I don't even think I get my own notifications anymore. That's how bad. I only get notifications from my own shows. And thanks, YouTube. Yeah, and DK joining us here says turn on notification settings. Yeah, I have to do that as well. So I started off pretty hot here because about 30 minutes ago, before we actually went live, I did a little one of those spaces things with Bryson Gray. And we were arguing about what saves us faith for the law, and he's basically a modern day Judaizer. So we went back and forth. He thought he had me on a few gotchas until I turned it back around on him. Then he kicked me off the show because he said that I was a little too excited. It's like, no, I was just dunking on everything you were saying. You didn't have a counter for it. You couldn't play up to your audience. So that's pretty much what happened. So I'm pretty hot and I'm fired up. I want to get you guys hot and fired up too, because guess what? We're starting off tonight's show with Alec Baldwin, baby. This is the one that unfortunately we didn't get a chance to talk about last week, but let's just go ahead and get into this. Alec Baldwin, if you guys didn't know, is a notorious POS. Let's be very, very clear here. No sympathy whatsoever for Alec Baldwin as a human being. He is the absolute worst. But however, he got trolled by a performing artist / crackhead / mentally disturbed woman at a coffee shop who begged him to say free Palestine. And is Alec Baldwin Jewish? I just assume everyone in Hollywood's a Jew at this point, but no. I have no idea. No. Okay, well, he seemed to be a little annoyed by this woman who accosted him here. So let's go ahead and play the video just real quick, only because it's hilarious. Like I said, this is a heel program, people. There are no baby faces. There's no people or any good here, but here we go.
Alec, can you please say free Palestine one time? Why did you kill that lady? You killed that lady and got no jail time? No jail time, Alec? No jail time, Alec.
I was gonna pause it. Just right here. I love the fact that he's pretending like he's on his phone when the phone is clearly off.
I mean, my phone, if it's up to my face, I mean, if I'm on the phone and it's up to my face, the screen will come on to.
The screen is on and it says you're on a call with this person and this is how many minutes the call has lasted. It's like,
but even if the phone is on, right? Even if it's just on, it lights up because it senses it. And so it's like it's not even a phone that's turned on.
He's such a dirtbag. But let's continue.
You're putting innocent people in jail, Alec Baldwin. Free Palestine, Alec, just one time, and I'll leave you alone. I swear. Just say free Palestine one time. One time.
So now he's trying to kick her out of the coffee shop. Does he own this coffee shop, or is he just think that he's under the impression that he has the authority of kicking somebody else out? Okay, here we go.
Yeah. One time, Alec. You know he's a criminal. You know he's a fucking criminal. Come on, Alec. Just say free Palestine one time. One time. Just one time, please. And I'll leave you alone. Free Palestine. Fuck Israel. Fuck Zionism. Please say it. One time.
Could you do me one quick favor?
Alec,
And he punches her, of course.
No, he grabs the phone, he grabs the phone. Or a lot of people are saying he swatted the phone. He actually grabs the phone because it shows there's a New York Post article where he has the phone in his hand, and she's grabbing for it. This shit dragged out into the street.
Oh yeah, there was pictures after the fact about this whole thing. This mess of a woman has done a series of interviews ever since then, and it's just like, yeah, that's basically modern day New York for you. It's either Alec Baldwin or black crackheads. That's pretty much all you get out of modern day Gotham at this point. So, because we didn't get a chance to talk about this last week, I'll shoot this one over to you, Rob. What is your thoughts on Alec Baldwin being accosted by this performance artist / New York rat lady person?
Yeah, this is a situation where it's I mean, I guess it depends who you are watching it, but it's like who do I hate more? I can't decide who I hate more in this situation. Look, I can always respect Alec Baldwin because he's at least I will say this, Alec Baldwin is talented. Even if his best role was like in Glengarry Glen Ross, basically being Donald Trump. Being like an investment banker asshole who talks down to an entire room full of men who, deserve a little bit more respect than he's giving them. Or in The Departed, where he plays like a Boston asshole sergeant, police officer guy. And so, maybe the audience has their own opinion what the best Alec Baldwin performance is. He's never really impressed me that as an actor, but at the very least, he's talented. Okay. I can't really say that about this lady who's just accosting people as they're kind of going about their day. Look, the court system will have its say when it comes to Alec Baldwin and the grand jury that's supposedly making and deciding if they're going to charge him or not, or whatever. That's going to play itself out. People don't need to be accosted on the street. It's funny because it's sort of just like, okay, you're being a blatant asshole to somebody who, yes, is accused of doing something terrible, but it's just like, people have legal rights. They have legal protections. And it's like, come on, give it a rest, give it a break, you fucking crazy lady. And if you saw her, she looks like the Joker in drag. Like she, if she's been interviewed or does videos of her own, it's like, okay, this person is a certifiable attention-seeking narcissist.
It's like the Joker if she was like a black woman that grew up in Cabrini Green.
Yeah, and to be fair, Alec Baldwin is an attention-seeking narcissist, but he went his own, path to get that.
Yeah.
So, do that and please get out of the public spotlight, crazy Joker weird lady.
It feels like this lady's trying to be like the next Alex Stein. And let's be honest with you, we don't need any more Alex Steins at this point. It's like I think we're good for now. Orange Chat, what do you think about this lady going after your boy over here?
I mean, I'm having a hard time believing it was a lady because I mean, yeah, the voice is very ladyish, but once you take a look at her in those pictures, man, holy shit, she looks like a Crackhead. Barney is a very fitting name. I mean, holy shit. But I did a video as well as a stream on this, folks. I do not have any sympathy. I do not have any sympathy for Alec Baldwin in this case because that man is a pure, excuse me again, sorry, stomach, sociopsychotic or sociopsychopath, man. I mean, it was already revealed minutes after he shot Helena Hutchins back in 2021, he goes outside, calls his wife up, and tells her, "Don't cancel the flight, honey. Get out here. They won't, or we can't get a refund. So don't cancel a flight. Bring kids out. We're gonna enjoy ourselves tonight." This is right after this man shot and killed a woman. Right after he shot and killed a woman. Instead of being like, "Oh my God, honey, the shit," or "Oh, holy shit, I just accidentally killed someone." No, don't cancel the trip, honey. We're going to have some fun tonight. What the fuck? But as for this whole situation, I do not believe that this woman should engage in this kind of ambush journalism, especially if she's an amateur at it, because eventually she is going to come across the wrong kind of person. And I don't want that
Especially
for
in
her.
New
I'm not
York.
saying I want that for her. But I am going to say it is very possible in crazy ass New York City, she's going to come across the wrong freaking person, and they are going to do more than just try to take the phone away and throw it in the street, which is what Alec Baldwin was going to do. I mean, she's damn lucky that that Alec Baldwin didn't shoot her. I mean, knowing that this guy has no problem shooting people, but it's like, holy shit, it's like, woman, you are literally picking a fight with a killer.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
A killer with no remorse. Put it that way too.
Exactly.
I mean, look, when it comes to Alec Baldwin and this crackhead Barney lady, like I said, I just look at it as a heel program. Like, there's no one to root for it. So it's like either you can just laugh at both of them or just find him. Like I said, there's no good people like in this scenario here. Now, should this lady have accosted what's his name, Baldwin, the way she didn't know? I mean, I think if we were saying this about any other person, we would clearly say that she was in the wrong here, that she probably deserved to get punched if he did take a swing or not. But at the same time, like I said, it's Alec Baldwin. They're both dirtbags. They're in a city that deserves both of them at this point. So that's kind of my take on this whole thing. I just go back to the OG Godzilla. Let them fight. Let them fight.
Oh, is that what that's from?
I mean, the 60-year-old
I thought it was from
Godzilla.
Tenet.
No,
that's Tenet. Okay.
No, that was from the 2014 Godzilla.
Okay. Because that actor only exists inside of Christopher Nolan movies for me.
Yeah, exactly. A lot.
Ken Wannabe, he's in like Batman.
Ken Wannabe or something like that.
Inception,
Watanabe,
and Tenet. Yeah.
That's the thing. Nolan likes to recycle his character or his actors.
Yeah.
I will say this just real quick too. People crap way too hard on that 2014 Godzilla movie, and this is why I think it is. It came out right when like the Breaking Bad hype was like at its peak, and everyone was all in on like Breaking Bad. So it's like, oh my god, Bryan Cranston is going to be in the Godzilla movie, and he dies like 30 minutes like into the movie, and they're like, oh, this film sucks. Can they kill Bryan Cranston? It's like, it was a pretty solid movie for like what it was. I mean, the human characters in that film were done far better than any of the other films that they've done since then. So I'm like, I think give it more credit than it deserves.
Mm-hmm. 2014
like,
wasn't that
exactly,
bad.
That's pretty much where it is.
Yeah, 2014 wasn't bad. It's just that the titular character only had 10 minutes on screen, and it's like, put your titular character on screen at least for 30 minutes in his own film.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I remember about that movie is that like Aaron Taylor Johnson and isn't it Elizabeth Olsen? Aren't they like boyfriend girlfriend? And it was weird because they were brothers and sisters in like the Marvel universe or whatever.
Literally, Age of Ultron was the same year.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I remember about it. It was like that whole thing, and I remember them talking about like the human character aspect of it, and then they kind of abandoned that in like the sequel where it was just like, all right, we're gonna show monsters fighting. There's no human characters. It's fine.
Well, they did Kong Skull Island, which was the second MonsterVerse movie. A lot of people forget about that because Godzilla wasn't in it, and they had a good human touch in it. And 2019's King of the Monsters had a little bit lesser human stuff in it, but still more than enough human stuff in it to make it annoying. That dude with the white hair and glasses was the most annoying thing I've ever seen in a movie. And Millie Bobby Brown didn't do the movie any favors, as she also didn't do GVK, Godzilla vs. Kong, any favors. But they started putting more monster in GVK, and this one that they did, GXK, was the best one so far, in my opinion. Had just the right amount of humans in it, or human stuff in it.
I walked out of King of the Monsters like 30 minutes in. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I can't. I'm sorry.
The first one or the second one?
Oh
wait, no, you're talking about your King of the Monsters. That's the Godzilla movie. Never mind.
Yeah, because I didn't even see Kong Skull Island but no, because I was like, okay, so this is gonna at least be worth seeing on a big screen and stuff, and I just couldn't even get into it. Like I couldn't even get to the monsters fighting because I was just
Too much.
I was
too
so
much.
bored to tears by the exposition, and I was just like, okay, I'm sorry, I can't do this. So I got up and left.
All right. Well, we're talking about Godzilla now, so that probably means we should move on to our next topic here, which is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. There was a pretty big hit piece that came out today alleging some behind the scenes issues with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, like I said, this feels like this has been going on for a couple of years. Like at the moment, I don't know if somebody inside of Hollywood has it out for The Rock at the moment, but you remember this whole started with the whole Black Adam situation, and there's a lot of people internally who got very upset at The Rock because he was trying to get Henry Cavill back into the DCEU. He even went as far to have a meeting with David Zaslav himself. A lot of people were very upset about that. It's like, oh, he's going over our heads to talk to the boss. You don't do that in this town. It's like, you guys are a bunch of scumbags. Like, shut up. But they've been going after him since then. He did the interview. We played it a few weeks back where he says that he regretted supporting Biden. He's not going to support anyone this time around. That's not to say that he won't support a Democrat. He just said that he regrets supporting Biden. And now he's getting a lot of heat for that too. And this news thing came, and there was two interesting things that were being levied here. It's like, one, I guess they're doing the sequel to Red Notice, which was the 2020 film that came out with The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot, where they paid each one $20 million a year to be in a generic, $20 million for the film to be in a generic action movie that few people watched and nobody watched again. Now, apparently, there's heat behind the scenes with The Rock because he has been consistently showing up late to the point where they're now alleging that The Rock has added $50 million to the budget of this movie just by his tardiness alone. And apparently, his tardiness and some of his behind the scenes habits have caused friction between him and Ryan Reynolds with the second go around as well, too. So, let's go back to, I guess, the story here. But yeah, so how the Rock's tardiness led to a runaway production here. Let's actually, can I go to the wrap here for a second? I should have pulled out here because I want to get to kind of the nooks and crannies of the story here. But give me one quick second. There we go. Yeah, okay, there we go. I'm gonna read it from here, and then we'll get back to the same points. So it says here that Dwayne "Rock" Johnson, Red One, is apparently the movie that's being released here. I guess they're shooting for like later this year or maybe next year for this film comes out, but it's being shot now. But there's been a ton of production issues. People are blaming The Rock's constant tiredness. They're blaming his, I guess, connection with the WWE has also been thrown under the bus here, but this is a movie that it stars Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons. So this is actually a separate movie now. This is not the Red Notice sequel, but this is Red One. And the final budget right now is $250 million, which means that this movie is never going to make this money back. Like at all. There's no way in hell this film's going to make back a $250 million production budget. And you know, a lot of that was given like the salary to like a lot of these guys, which is stupid in and of itself. But it says here that the Rock's chronic lateness and lack of professionalism on set with his producers' inexperience has costed the movie well more than it needed to be. According to a dozen insiders, the Red One project was a perfect storm of problems, compounded by the fact that the lead producer, Hiram Garcia, which I believe that's The Rock's ex-wife, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can correct me if I'm right about that. And a couple of other producers who are overseeing the project. Dwayne showed up as much as 8 hours late to the set of the movie, forcing the film to shoot around him on some days. And Johnson made a habit of peeing in water bottles to save time, upsetting the people who were on the set of the movie. So, just because I'm like, this is very, very hilarious on one hand, because you have to keep in mind, this is literally what The Rock called out Vin Diesel for doing a few years ago. Remember when they finished, I think it was like Fast 7 at the time, and then The Rock thanked everyone who was on set except for Vin Diesel, basically called him like an unprofessional douchebag. That's what he did here. Let's keep going here. Amazon was hoping to launch the potential. They thought this was going to be a franchise. Holy crap. About a villain. Oh my, this gets worse when I read it because now I'm reading the plot. I didn't even know what the plot was. Here's the plot of this $250 million movie. A villain who kidnaps Santa Claus from the North Pole after an elf, which stands for extremely large and formidable operative, joins the force with a bounty hunter to find Santa Claus and save Chris. They spent $250 million on this. $250 million. What the are you? They must be just burning Jeff Bezos' money at this point. It's like it's absolutely out of their mind. Apparently, the script was written by collaborator Chris Morgan from the Fast and Furious franchise. It's directed by the guy who did the Jumanji movie. So all guys who have worked with The Rock in the past. At CinemaCon this year, Amazon took an unusual step, premiering the footage of the film to a small group of journalists handpicked by Johnson's publicist. So made sure that it only got really good press. The journalists were shown about 10 minutes of footage, but were not allowed to write about what they saw. It's common for studios to strategically reveal selected scenes, and a complete media blackout surrounding the Red One footage suggests that Amazon is aware that they have a rocky road to its delayed release. So this film is delayed, and they're already in the hole, $250 million. Holy crap. What else do we got here? So like I said, there's between him and The Rock based on that. Like I said, him just constantly showing up late. I says that earlier he was they claim here he was 3 hours late arriving to the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. The WWE then later came out and said that was not true. Yes, denounced that portion of this article, but no one's really come out and said anything about anything else regarding this. There was a add-on here from, I guess, Ringside News, but I'll go ahead and put this up here for a second. It says that Johnson's tardiness has been an issue for a number of years. They rent out locations, shoot as much as they can with the other actors, and then wait for him to decide when he's coming to set. I mean, this is what happens when you're doing way too many projects at one time, when you're trying to do 5 movies at once and an HBO show, and you're making appearances on WWE, and you're the face of the NFL, the XFL, and you're producing. Maybe slow down a little. Maybe that's part of the problem here, but he says that, and then of course he takes like 3 hours to work out every single day because he's 51 years old. He wants you to believe that his muscles, that his 286 pound frame at 51 years old is all natural. That's going on here. Like I said, he literally called out Vin Diesel for this very thing a few years ago. Then it says here with Ryan Reynolds was frustrated after waiting 5 hours for Johnson. They had a huge fight, according to insiders. This is on the Red Notice film. Johnson then stormed off the set. The two didn't speak for years until they recently patched things up. Red Notice received a sequel order in 2022. There's been a little movement on that project ever since, because nobody really wants that movie. But none of the insiders, or I guess the representatives for any of these people, have actually responded here. There's also talking about a lot of things that went on with COVID at the moment. And then you get the pee bottle story. Apparently, in order to save time, he just pisses in bottles and leaves them around and whatnot. Because
like, what? This is crazy too. Because thing about film sets is it's in contracts. Even it's one of those things people so and so needs their own personal bathroom, and that's fine. Yeah. They'll accommodate you. They'll make it work, but you have to use it. Not that's alienating the entire, not just cast, but crew. Anybody that has to work on set. What is wrong with you?
Because he has a bodybuilder body, so that means he drinks a lot of water, which means he has to go to the bathroom frequently. So instead of leaving the set altogether, getting out of costume, and going to do his business, he'll just pee in a bottle and leave it there on set for everyone to look at. Everyone's like, "What the actual F?" Right? So yeah, there's a lot of things that are being thrown at him here. People have noticed this is a pretty big. Okay, so this is Hiram Garcia here. Okay, so is this the guy who married his ex-wife? No, that can't be right. Is it? I don't know. Somebody do the research for me. I'm not looking too deep into the story. No, he is the brother. No, he's the brother of his ex-wife. Okay, that's the clarification. He's the brother of The Rock's ex-wife, which is why he's working on all these projects here. And apparently, people are blaming him that he doesn't know what he's doing either. Which is yeah, okay, I understand that, but there's a whole other thing about this whole situation. Let me give you the too long didn't read of this entire thing. The Rock apparently is not making very many friends in Hollywood these days, which I think is a driving factor of why he did go back to the WWE a couple months ago and over the last the last few weeks up until WrestleMania. It's because he's trying to win back favor from people, because keep in mind, about 8 years ago, The Rock was considered the most likable guy in Hollywood. It wasn't that long ago. Everyone liked him. Everyone thought he was a good dude. And then he became a Hollywood sellout, Rock, and then nobody really liked him anymore. And now he's losing favor with the people in his own industry. His box office numbers aren't really doing what they were a few years ago. And like I said, now all he really has left was wrestling fans from 30 years ago. And that's pretty much all he got. So people were responding that this is a pretty big expose and hit piece on The Rock that just came out of nowhere, but someone's not happy about him. So Rob, I'll go ahead and start off with you. What are your thoughts on the story here about The Rock's on-set behavior?
Yeah, and here's the thing: you talk about how like he was the most liked guy in Hollywood. I
Yeah.
mean, and to be fair, like if you want to grow your career, if you want to go to the upper echelons of celebrity and being a star and the status that comes with that, um, you have to be known for something. So like being well liked is good when you don't have talent. Because hey, at least people like you, at least people throw you jobs. I'm sure that's why Dave Bautista keeps getting hired. I mean, he's a terrible actor, so that I mean, it's not like that's the reason. But so it's just like, but over time, if you piss people off, if you alienate people, and you don't have talent behind it, if you can't generate interest in your own career because of what you bring to the table, there's a big fucking problem. There's a huge problem there because that's not going to last. Like Hollywood, the list is a mile long of people that had their 15 minutes of fame and we never saw them again. And so, hey, I mean, good for him that he's able to sort of parlay his minimal talents on screen to millions of dollars time and time again. But here's the thing: The Rock being associated with a product or a project, excuse me, means it's not going to be very good. I cannot think of the last movie or TV show that he was associated with that rose above like basic mediocre Hollywood production. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
maybe he gets
I
more.
mean, even I was gonna say just real quick, even Ballers. It was like Ballers was basically just like an NFL version of Entourage, and even that kind of like went down after like 2 seasons. Like they clearly didn't have any idea what to do with that one after it got going.
Yeah, and I watched I think the first season of that, and look, it's okay. And like there's these little things like his, I forget if it's his lawyer, his agent friend or whatever, is literally the son of like Jane Fonda. You know what I mean? Like I found that out after the fact, but look, the NFL's never going to go for like a hard hitting like docudrama expose on like the secrets and the dirt behind the scenes. I would love that. I really would love that kind of show, but they had to go in a different direction. And so whatever, but yeah, Ballers did not last very long. A lot of his movies, they'll have maybe a good opening weekend, but again, outside of like what he did, San Andreas, he did the Jumanji movies. You know what I mean? He's done the Fast and Furious stuff. It just has gotten old after a while. And then he tried to do the superhero thing, Black Adam. And even though like I kind of liked it, like I was more favorable than a lot of people were, it just didn't work. It didn't make money. Not enough people went to see it. And the new regime took over at DC. So it seems like every time he puts his eggs in a basket, it just doesn't come out to be much. Here's the thing: you were saying that he has all these hats on. He's so busy with all these projects, all these things. Do one thing well. How about that? Do one thing well. Just do one thing well. That's it. That's all you have to do. He's doing he's doing 8 or 9 things below average. That's terrible. Like that's what you want to be known as. So I don't know where he goes from here. Honestly, he has enough money where he doesn't have to, worry about being poor or broke or anything. But yeah, I think the Hollywood experiment absolutely has been mostly a failure for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
I have Neil asked the question here. Do you think The Rock has hit rock bottom? I got a theory based on this, but I want Orange Hat to get his thoughts in first.
Does this coincide with him refusing to endorse Biden? Possibly, maybe. I mean, a lot of people did get pissed off because he wasn't endorsing them. I mean, look at the cackling hens on The View. They were basically clucking like they were rabid because it's like, oh, he should use a celebrity to do this shit. Well, the thing is, him being an asshole on sets of movies and whatnot, getting late. Who doesn't fucking do that? I mean, I'm almost hearing, or you pay enough attention to behind the scenes, you're going to hear at least 3 out of 10 celebrities, maybe even more, are assholes on sets. Marlon Brando was an asshole. I mean, I know that.
It's diva behavior. Yeah.
It's very diva behavior. And The Rock, he loves to come off as this very humble guy, but he's really a freaking egomaniac. I mean, Sure, he plays it on for the crowd at WrestleMania because we all know that wrestling's fake, and yes, I'm always going to say that. But honestly, if people are going to freaking just go out and do hit pieces on him, fucking say that shit to his face, because honestly, we have lost a very important thing in this world, and that is the ability to punch somebody in the throat when they are talking shit about you and they're too afraid to do it to your face. Accountability matters, folks.
Rick, I'm not sure if you missed the first part of this whole conversation. So The Rock is peeing in bottles. He's showing up late. He has a $250 million movie about Santa Claus, which is now severely over budget. Nobody likes him outside of wrestling fans from 30 years ago. So what is your thoughts on The Rock?
I have no thoughts on The Rock. I can't offer any. I can't. Well, I'll say this much. You can go ahead and pee into a water bottle if it's empty, and if you cannot get to a bathroom on time. So that's
But then you have to dispose of said water bottle.
Well, of course you do. Of course you do. You find a good trash can. I mean, you have to keep it. You have to keep the lid on, and then you toss it.
Dumb and Dumber, everybody. And if you know what I mean, if you know what I'm referencing, you know exactly what I'm referencing.
I was gonna say nope. Just pee in a bottle and toss it halfway across the room. Nope.
I have nothing to add. Though I will say, I don't know what the Santa Claus movie will be like. This is the first I've ever heard of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being in a Santa Claus movie, but I do like Santa Claus the movie with Dudley Moore. That's my only real contribution.
So here's my theory too, and obviously, I think I mentioned this like several months ago, even before he came back for WrestleMania. Like, remember when he was getting heat for the whole Oprah Hawaii thing, and then all of a sudden, oh, The Rock's back in WWE. It's like I think what he's doing here is that he realizes that at least his standing and his favor in Hollywood has certainly diminished. And I think him going back to wrestling, going back to WWE, he's trying to prove to Hollywood like he's still like a big name draw. It's like if he can go back to wrestling and put 70,000 people, at WrestleMania in Philadelphia, it's like, oh, see, The Rock's still a big name. He's still a big time draw. So he's going back and he's doing these things with WWE that gets trying to convince people in Hollywood that he's not a bum like anymore. So this is from I think like about a month ago with WWE and the whole Cody Rhodes situation, and this was something that he uploaded like on his own. He's trying to show people, look, I'm still the final boss. I'm still the big deal here in the WWE.
Clear, you stay down. Fuck that. Clear, guys. Fuck that. You shut your mouth. Clear my ass. How did that feel? Did that feel good? What? Just because the show's over, that doesn't mean that this shit stops. The Rock doesn't give a fuck. Huh? You should cry. You should cry, boy. Look at that blood. Now, look at this blood. Yes. Yes. What? Show is over and then it stops? Fuck that. Your script? Fuck that.
I do like how as the years are progressing here, The Rock just looks more and more like some Guido bouncer from like
like Vin Diesel.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what happens, boy, when you fuck with the final. Come in here, cameraman. Look at that face.
Come in here, cameraman.
Now, Mama Rose. Mama Rose, this is for you. That's for you. I'll see you at WrestleMania.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, he always has wrestling to go back to, but it doesn't seem like people, in the industry want him back.
Well, has he? I'm sorry. Has he ever really been a big movie star draw? I mean, what movies has he like? Do we say, oh wow, I gotta go see it because The Rock is in it? It's what, Race to Witch Mountain or Escape to Witch Mountain or one of those Witch Mountain things? And stick to the originals, by the way.
That was a while.
Yeah, but that goes with his like the game plan, the Tooth Fairy, Gridiron Gang. I mean, that's like when he was really trying to break into Hollywood as a serious actor, and like none of those movies are really like, again, better than mediocre.
He's had a weird career because it's like when he first started getting into acting, he was like, okay, I'm the big star in WWE. So I'm gonna start doing like the Mummy and like the Rundown, Scorpion King, Walking Tall, and all those movies. Then all of a sudden he starts doing like the Game Plan and the Tooth Fairy and like all these weird movies. Like people remember Faster, remember when that was like a thing. And then, like I said, the Journey was like another one. And then all of a sudden, I think it was when he did both Pain and Gain and Fast and Furious. That's all of a sudden when he started to climb up to be like, oh, he's a big name action star now. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna do San Andreas and Central Intelligence and Rampage, right? But like those movies did decently, but I don't think they were ever like probably the Jumanji remakes, probably the most successful things. But even that's more of like an ensemble cast. It's not like it's like just The Rock.
And it's riding on a name brand
franchise.
People know Jumanji.
I will tell you guys my favorite Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie / performance. It's another ensemble, but there's this absolute batshit insane movie called Southland Tales. He's in it with like Justin Timberlake, Sarah Michelle Gellar, like Amy Poehler, like the list, Christopher Lambert from Highlander. I mean, the list of actors in this movie is insane. So if you guys ever just want to like sit down and watch a 2.5 hour batshit crazy movie about like the American id of the left and right, just watch that movie. It's absolutely insane. I'm not going to tell you it's a good movie. I love it, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a good movie. It's fucking insane. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at least like goes all out in it. And like, I can't defend it, but he at least gives something that we haven't seen in any other movie. So I will say that.
When it comes to the Scorpion King and the Mummy Returns, look, he was a small part. He was just in the opening section, and then the rest of it was CGI. Then they tried to spin him off into a franchise, and yeah, he was in there for like one movie, and then they got other people to play the Scorpion King. It wasn't that big of a movie. It was a terrible movie, by the way. But like again, he's not a big enough draw film wise for us to say, oh well, we need to go see a movie because Dwayne the Rock Johnson is in it. Like what? Moana's is probably one of his bigger hits, and that was an animated film.
I mean, at the end of the day, I still think that Roddy Piper is probably the best like actor who came from the world of wrestling. I mean, and I know that's not really going that far because like, what do we have? They Live, and then that frog. What was that frog people fucking thing that we watched that one?
Yeah.
What was that? Do you remember that?
Lords of Frogtown or something like that?
Yeah. So
Roddy Piper
again,
movie,
there's not a huge bar there, but like Roddy Piper was a better actor than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is now. So
that's another thing that gets me hot too. And everyone says, "Oh, Dave Bautista's the best actor who's ever come from pro wrestling." It's like we're just gonna forget all the Roddy Piper movies. Yeah. I mean, it's just stupid. But yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I find it very, very interesting that this dude is basically doing the exact same thing that he called out Vin Diesel for doing several years ago. Now he's the one who shows up late, and it's unprofessional, and is the guy who's he's there on the producer, so he can just basically do whatever he wants. I mean, he really doesn't care that much. And yeah, look, when you stretch yourself this thin, like honestly, the way that like I said, he's doing like 8 different movie projects at once. He's supposed to be doing like 2 more movies that he's working on in the next several months, and he has like television projects, and he has to be the face of the XFL as well, and then he has to come back and do pro wrestling because hey, him and Cody Rhodes need to have a match in a few months, and his life sounds like hell. Like that, honestly, like to work this that much continuously and somehow try to squeeze out like 3 hours of like working out every single day too. It doesn't even sound like fun anymore. It's like sure he may get paid like $20 million like a project and stuff like that, but it's like is it even worth it anymore at that point?
It's interesting you say that because like I forget who it was, if it was like Christina and Tom Segura like talking about it or who it was talking to Joe Rogan, but basically like the cheat day for The Rock is like really that's your cheat day, like oatmeal bananas or oatmeal banana pancakes with like like even your cheat day is a miserable like focus on hey this isn't what I normally eat, but it's still going to be good for me. So it's just like even like
because you still need to be 300 pounds and jacked at 51 years old and try to pretend like you're not just on TRT and HGH and all this stuff. It's like, dude, The Rock was always a big dude. For guys who know him back in his WWF days, it's like he's got like Barry Bonds' head now, and that doesn't come just for lifting heavy weights. Like, that's all I'm saying. But I'll go ahead and get into our movie portion of the day because I have a conversation and a review. So let's go ahead and hit the movie portion. Let's go. All right, so before we get into a movie review portion, because we do have the review of a movie, I want to get a group discussion here on the trailer that's making the rounds right now. And it's a trailer that is written and directed by Zoe Kravitz. I know that sounds terrible. Let's just leave this for a second. Apparently, she's writing and directing movies now. I don't know when this started. I think she may have did like a short or two here, but now she's getting like a feature film. And it's a movie that is called Blink Twice. And the setup of this movie is that there is a billionaire who takes a couple of women to his private island for a get together, wherever the case may be, and then really crazy things happen. And I watched this trailer, and I probably thought the same thing a lot of people did who saw this, who commented on this video. It's like, oh, so you guys are basically trying to make light of like the whole Epstein allegations and stuff. Are we bringing essentially turning reality into fiction? Is that what we're doing here? I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the trailer, then let you guys decide what do you think about the upcoming Zoe Kravitz film Blink Twice. And yes, Channing Tatum is in the movie with a couple of other people you may or may not know. So here's the trailer.
So everybody's dead. How about we start at the beginning?
Okay, here we go. Jess, Frida, this is my childhood buddy, Cody. Vic, my left and right hand man. Perfect. Tom.
Hi. Yeah. All right, who did this?
This is Frida, Sarah, Frida.
Thanks. Thank you.
This is our resident wonder boy, Heather, Camilla. Hey, what's up, man? I don't know who that is. We're going to my island for a few days. Do you guys want to come?
This is crazy. Did we just jet off to a billionaire's island with a bunch of strangers?
No, he's not a stranger.
He's Slater King.
Everybody say, making memories! Making
memories! You having a good time?
We're having a great time. We're drinking champagne and we're eating amazing food. So do you think the human sacrifice is before or after dinner?
The legendary parties of Slater King. Not what I thought it was gonna be.
We still have fun. It's just a little different now.
What do you mean?
Phones, please. Wait, for real?
You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do.
I'm having a great time here. But I also have this feeling that I'm like Nah.
Where's my knife? Who has my knife?
Oh, dude, your eye.
What? Oh, no, I know, right? There's something weird going on here.
Everybody's smiling and laughing like 1960s flight attendants. Like, are you having a good time? I'm like, yeah, I'm having a great time. Did you feel it? There's something wrong with this place. Where's Jess?
Who's Jess?
My friend that was in the room next to mine.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
I feel like we're forgetting like a lot of stuff.
Okay, but like, how? Something's making us forget.
Oh.
We need to know what's really going on.
So that is the trailer for the film Blink Twice. I saw it a couple of times now over the last few weeks. So like I said, first of all, they reviewed to you like the whole like movie in that trailer. I kind of hate when movies do that, because then it's like, okay, well now I don't have to watch it if it just doesn't look interesting at all. While some people are calling it Knives Out 3, other people are noticing it's like, yeah, sure are a lot of similarities to these Hollywood getaway parties that happen on Billionaire's Island that we find out about years after the fact. And people know, we've all heard the name predictive programming before, but people are saying, is this essentially an attempt of turning reality into fiction? And it's like, oh, these things actually do go on, but we're going to present it to you in a fictitious manner to make you think that it doesn't actually go on when it really does. Orange Hat, I'm going to start off with you because I kind of teased this on your show last night. By the way, Orange Hat is a show on Monday nights now, apparently, for some reason. But we'll go ahead and get your thoughts on what you saw. You're muted, by the way, so can you? Let's go ahead and get your thoughts here on what you thought about the movie. Do you think people are leading a little bit too much into this one?
First clarify that Monday night one was just a special one because scheduling conflicts and shit. But as for this trailer, I was looking at this and I was seeing Epstein's Island. I was basically seeing a artist rendering of Epstein's Island. It's like, we are going to call out Epstein, but we're going to make it a Hollywood film, not about raping kids, but not about doing terrible stuff to kids, but we're going to do terrible stuff to people. And I'm thinking to myself, this is all I'm seeing right now. Yeah. Why would you even think this is something that you should do? I mean, we all know this shit happens in real life. We don't really need them to make up a fake movie about it.
And that's the way that I looked at it too, because it's like, first when I saw the film, I saw the concept. It was like, oh, billionaire's party, things go wrong, people are dying, and it's just like, look, I've heard entirely too many stories over the last 10 years to pretend like that I don't know exactly like what you guys are doing here with this film. First of all, the film doesn't look good at all. It reminds me way too much of Bodies, which is a film that I absolutely lambasted a couple of years ago. But yeah, just that whole plot point, I was just like, yeah, you're not fooling me with this one. You're not pulling the wool over my eyes here.
You getting other vibes, maybe like I Still Know What You Did Last Summer?
I mean,
well, not only that, go with Rob here for a second, but not only that, it also reminded me of the other film called The Hunt. Remember that big controversial movie from a couple of years ago about, the rich people bringing, it's always the same thing too. It's like, oh, the rich people bring a bunch of poor people or conservatives that put a bunch of poor people on an island or a secluded area, then they hunt them for sport. And then it was just like, oh, isn't this weird? And it's like, yeah, well, good thing we don't do this in real life, right? But Rob, I'll go ahead and let you finish what you were going to say there.
Yeah, I actually think that the premise, I don't know, like I'm fine with what the premise is. Again, it just comes down to how it's executed. So like, you can take things out of real life, and that's where horror movies, exploitation films, a lot of these things come from, is taking things that are close to reality or close to something that happened and running with it. Now, the people involved here do not give me any hope that this is going to be good. So it's like, who cares? But like, I got this vibe from like The Menu, and even Ari Aster's movie. What was that? Midsommar. That's kind of the same thing, where it's like a cult. Like you've entered into something that where it's like the people running this place, this compound, this getaway have ulterior motives. Now you could take that in all sorts of directions. They're devil worshippers. They're or they're just like slowly murdering these people one by one, of the middle class, peasant class, whatever. So again, it really depends where it goes. But Zoe Kravitz should not be anywhere near a fucking camera. Okay, she's barely an actress. She's not even a good actress. And so like the spoiled child of Lenny Kravitz being able to make a movie or whatever, it's just really disappointing. And hey, I'm really glad I never spent the money to go to film school, because seriously, this is what I mean. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters who you know. It matters what your are.
Or who you're related to.
And I will say this, the whole, like, you can't sleep your way to the top, but you can sleep your way to the middle. You can sleep your way to jobs. After that, you have to have talent. After that, you have to be able to generate an audience. But like, and someone like Zoe Kravitz is basically being given this for what reason? She's not talented. So it's just like, it's nepotism. See, this is the real like Nepo baby shit that people should be paying attention to, instead of like being annoyed that somebody is an actor too and their parents were. It's like, who cares? Like at the end of the day, the movie is going to be successful because they're good, or it's not. It's going to fail because they're not. So why do you care? You know what I mean? But someone like Zoe Kravitz being given this opportunity is kind of a slap in the face to filmmaking in general.
Keep in mind, this isn't like some small indie film either. This is Amazon and Warner Brothers co-production, essentially. So I think Warner Brothers is doing the international release, and Amazon is generally doing the United States release. So this is like some small little indie film that's being created here. This is a major production. So Rick, what's your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, first, I'm one of those people that doesn't think that Channing Tatum can act. I think he has one talent only, and that is to take his clothes off to a rhythm. That's it. That's his whole talent. That's what he's built his career on. I actually thought more like Knives Out. Like it was kind of like gather all these famous people. We're going to have a mystery here. Not exactly a comedy. Because I'm trying to think, other than Channing Tatum and Haley Joel Osment, I don't think I recognized anyone else in that.
There has been and unknowns.
Do you know who Simon Rex is, Rick?
No.
Okay, and did you remember a movie called Red Rocket that came out a couple years ago by Sean Baker? The guy
I heard of
Project.
I heard of it.
He's in that, and he kind of got acclaim there for a little bit and was on the award circuit. But yeah, so I'm glad he's kind of getting more opportunities. But yeah, he was the guy that Channing Tatum said was his friend.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So you're going to hire your friends to be in a movie. I don't know why. I don't know why exactly Zoe Kravitz has gotten this job. Did she write this as well, or was it just she's
written and directed by Zoe Kravitz and produced? So,
well, there
Why
you go.
would she choose this topic though?
It's maybe she's in the club.
Honestly,
yeah,
the disconnect with reality.
But that's the thing, though. It's like it was Rob was mentioning earlier. People try to take like reality and make fiction. Like that idea isn't like foreign to people, but it's usually not the people who are involved in said idea that they're bringing into essentially fictionalized like events, right? It's always like someone coming from the outside, and this feels like this is Hollywood, like basically rubbing it in our faces. It feels like this is kind of like them just saying like everything essentially.
That is them doing it. Basically, it's like saying, yeah, we're going to do this because we know that this is a sore subject for the people. And it's like, well, good luck, because you are about to have the worst bomb of your fucking career. I am not going to watch this movie.
All I can say is that I hope
being outraged, it just doesn't interest me. But it's like, there's a bunch of has-beens and unknowns. I don't need to watch it.
I mean, it's funny.
There it is. Well, finish because somebody just told me something, which is very interesting.
So we've got Kyle MacLachlan, we've got Aaliyah Shawkat, which you might not know who she is. She was on Arrested Development, among other things. Christian Slater, Haley Joel Osment, Gina Davis.
Where is she?
I don't know, but she's in the cast. So
I didn't see her. I don't remember seeing her.
And then what's her face? Adria Arjona, who I think is in the Hitman movie that's coming out this summer with Glenn Powell. So but yep, she's in the Hitman movie. So I mean, it's an okay cast, but yeah, there's nobody that really stands out, and the people that do haven't been famous for 20 years. Christian Slater has not been a relevant name since the 90s. Gina Davis, same thing.
Oh, well, I mean, it's kind of interesting that the only real person besides Channing Tatum, the only other person I recognized fully was Haley Joel Osment, and I've never even seen The Sixth Sense. So that just to tell you just how much I know of this.
Now this makes a lot more sense. I did not know this beforehand, but apparently Zoe Kravitz and Channing Tatum are engaged to be married, and that's why they're doing this film. So, and this is his production company, and of course, his production company put Zoe Kravitz as the writer and the director of this major movie. So now the pieces are starting to fall.
So I guess she
together.
did sleep her way to the top, if that's how you want to interpret it.
But it's okay when they do it, though. So.
I have, yeah.
If you're gonna sleep with a producer, make sure you get.
Yeah, her Batman character is really insufferable. So, I've said this before. I've said this about Tessa Thompson. I think both of these women are hot, but it's like the decisions that they've made. I'm just like, okay, these are crazy. These are crazy women who have been given way too much in life. So they should be given a lot less.
Far less.
Yes.
Well, she was Zoe Kravitz. If she was in the Batman, I thought that's her. I thought she was fine as Catwoman.
She's not even a good actress. She's directing already. No. What's wrong with that picture?
Well, I wouldn't.
Well, maybe if you sleep your way to the top, you can get directing good
shit.
I wouldn't.
Don't want to do that.
I don't think that she should be given a major film. Again, what are her qualifications other than being the daughter of Lenny Kravitz?
That's your guys' problem.
Rather than
you guys still think that this is business is like based on like merit, like somehow like this is the WWE. Like once you beat like Juventud Guerrera, somehow you get a title shot at like the US. This is not how it works. This is not how Hollywood works. It's basically who you know, who you sleep with, who you worship, all that stuff.
And while
she
I
must
agree,
have been sleeping with Epstein.
But while I agree with Jacob, the thing is the thing about Hollywood, and this has always been true, if you can write a script, and I mean a good script, you can write your own ticket. You really can. Okay. This is how bad screenwriting has gotten, A, and B, executives don't care anymore. They just want to package something that they think will make a decent decent run at the box office and call it a day. That's what it is anymore. Like people who greenlight movies don't even love movies. They're not looking for great scripts. Now, if they get one, oh yeah, they'll try to make it work, but it's like it's not what it used to be. And so that world is it's kind of gone. I think it's still possible, but it just seems so much more diminished than what it used to be.
Yeah. So that's a film that's coming out, I think, sometime in like October 23rd. So I'm pretty sure we'll. I don't know. I'll decide where we're gonna review it or not. And there's something
Joker
else
Part
about
2.
Movie. Well, there's Joker Part 2, and then there's what's the other one? That was like some tranny Joker movie that's also coming out too, or it's supposed to come out.
No, that I think that already came out, and that was more that was sold as a parody.
Did you see how it just got absolutely like lambasted? Like nobody went to see it.
No, like who would?
Who would?
Who would want to go see tranny Joker? Yeah,
maybe the same people that actually wanted to go see something like Dick's the Musical.
Right, but here's the thing: Joker Part 2 is already being called Tranny Joker because Lady Gaga's in it. So I mean, it just doesn't.
Oh, Jesus
that's where we
Christ.
are now. So
and it's
People
going
are
to be a
still going
musical
on about
with Lady
that.
Gaga. Yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be a musical. There will be I mean,
honestly,
it depends on how the music is.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies that are not musicals, let's talk about Boy Kills World. So Rick, did you ever go see this movie?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we do have at least a couple people who have seen this movie. Orange Hat, you can be our what do they call it? Innocent bystander,
Outsider.
Yeah,
Innocent,
exactly, right.
far from, but I'll be your outsider.
You can be our instigator. How about that?
Yeah,
That sound
instigator.
more-
Yeah, there you go. Agitator. I'll be your rioter.
Sounds like a Joker name. I'm not gonna say that. Anyway, so Boy Kills World. Here's the thing, right? So we've gotten to the point with action movies where especially over the last 10 years, everything just feels like a John Wick clone. Like, it doesn't really matter like what the actual title of the film is or what it's like. It's all, oh, this guy got shot in the head. It's like, oh, this guy got brutally murdered in this way. That's all from like the John Wick movies. And part of the reason of this is if you look at the people who are writing, producing, and directing these films, these are all people who have somewhere been affiliated with the John Wick movies over the course of the last like 10 years. So there's a reason why you're kind of seeing this pollution of action films that we're seeing recently. So the only real way to stand out from the rest of the group, if you're going to do, you know, the brutal action like type of style here, is that you have to have some kind of like style or personality to your movie that stands out from like everything else, or else it's gonna feel generic like right away. I think with this film, it's just going running down just real quick, just what this movie's about. It's about a boy trying to get revenge for the fact that, you know, his mother and his sister were murdered by, you know, this evil fascist regime led by Fonka Jameson, who, by the way, way too much plastic surgery has been done to her face. Like, I get it, like you're 60, but still, like I don't know, maybe we're at the point of no return here with this woman, but toning down a little bit. So the whole movie is that he was raised by a shaman who wants to kill her, so he like literally lives like in the jungle looking for revenge. He's deaf and mute because of the torture that he received here. So as a result, he only speaks through the inner monologue in his head, which I believe is the same guy who does the voice of Archer. If you guys watch the Archer TV show as well,
H. John
Benjamin.
Yes, I believe so.
He basically sounds like a video game character throughout the entire thing, and you come to find out later on why that is the case. So with this movie, like I said, it's kind of an action comedy. There's a lot of style and there's a lot of substance to it. I think it stands out from the rest. But let's just kind of talk about the kind of the John Wickening of action films here. I'll start with you, Rob. Do you think that we've reached a point where there really isn't much else an action film can do to stand out? Because like, what more can you possibly do? It's like people have said, brutal action, blood and gore. It's like we've seen it done to death now. Even with the John Wick franchise, I said this 2 movies ago. It's like there's only so many like scenes people getting shot in the head that I can watch before it's just like, okay, like, do we have anything like else now?
Yeah, I mean, I will actually say I think both The Beekeeper and Boy Kills World do a great job of standing out on their own because you know, you're right. There's always going to be a lot of imitators. A great example is Pulp Fiction coming out in 1994, and everybody and their mother doing a Tarantino-esque, irony-laden sort of crime movie hitman thing. And it's like, okay, we get it. And some of them are decent, actually. Some of them are pretty good. But it's just like they're all sort of copying, you know, Pulp Fiction and Tarantino. With John Wick, I will say that you know, I think that these 2 movies actually that have come out this year do a pretty good job doing their own thing. They definitely have that signature brutal kills, like over the top, but they also give people their money's worth. They give like, I think the way you do this, the way you stand out is by focusing on your big action set pieces and making them be memorable. Having, you know, your protagonist use weapons that you frankly would have never thought of in creative ways. Two in this movie that come to mind is a cheese grater, and I don't know what it is at the end that lasts the fight, but basically what amounts to a raptor talon. You know what I mean? So, and like you remember that scene in Jurassic Park of like Grant holding up that claw to that kid's face, and you know what I mean? Like there are ways for you to sort of make the action set pieces interesting, make them stand out and be memorable. I mean, I certainly do. And this was the 3rd movie in a row that I had seen that night in a theater. So I was ready to like go to sleep. But it definitely kept me glued, you know, my eyes glued to the screen. And I thought a lot of the action was very well done, memorable, but incredibly bloody.
You're muted. You're muted, Jacob.
How about that? Rick, same question to you. What do you think about the whole John Wickening of action films?
I come at this from a slightly different angle in that the only John Wick movie I've seen was part 4. So I don't have much point of reference. I can say, though, I actually was thinking more of this is closer to a video game or like a style of video game. And I thought it was well crafted for what it was. I actually stayed awake I didn't fall asleep like I did with Challengers, where apparently I fell asleep twice, according to my cousin. So the violence, actually, I was surprised that the violence was not as bloody as I expected it to be. There were a couple of times where I was like, "Ooh, a little too much," but on the whole, I thought it was well executed. The the camera movement, that's deliberate. The voiceovers and the tone, that's deliberate. It's like everyone was pretty much in on the joke, and they were treating it serious, but not seriously. So they went with this. You got a chance to see supposedly, the people who are known more for classy fare, like Michelle Dockery, from Downton Abbey. She embraced the lunacy of all this. You had what's his name, Charlotte Copley. Also, well, he's always been that way in films. But point being, it knew what it was. It didn't pretend to be anything else than what it was. It was sometimes very intense, but it worked. As for the John Wiggining, yeah, maybe they are going a little too much into the violence. But again, since I have very little point of reference for the John Wick world, I come at this a little bit outside. But I felt it was more closer to a video game style. But again, it was kind of copying that in the voice, in everything. And I love that part where he couldn't quite make out what the other man was saying. And so I pretty much
Oh,
heard
yeah.
the same thing. And so
It's just like gibberish coming out of his mouth.
yes,
Mhm.
and he's trying to make sense of
Which
it.
no, this is one of the few things that I do like about this movie. I'm not gonna say few things. I actually do like this movie a lot, but like first of all, Sharlto Copley. It seems like every time there's a movie in South Africa, like he's legally required to be involved in it somehow because he's like
yeah.
the one go-to South African actor that they always like dig up here. But that's one of the things I do like about this movie. It's like it does have a sense of humor and style to it. It's like there's one scene where he's part of the resistance now. He's trying to like figure out like how he's gonna make it into the manor and like get his kill, and they're trying to explain like this whole plan to him, and it's like one guy he can't even like really understand, and he's the one that's giving like all the point directions, and the other one is just kind of psychotic, so he's just like pointing at different things on the map. So he's trying to sit there and pretend like that he actually knows what's going on when he clearly doesn't, and then he has to like essentially the ghost of his dead sister is there like conversating him the entire way, which it goes to just show you that he has absolutely no idea like what's happening. But at the same time, it goes to show you too that it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, because it all like rolls in like later on. It's like come to find out that the complete lunacy that was him going into that manor was all part of the plan, the plan that he didn't hear in the first place. So like I said, I like that this film has a lot more going for it, and it does have a lot of name actors in this. Bill Skarsgård, who's been in a lot of films, obviously was a big one. He was in the last John Wick movie too, wasn't he? Isn't he the one?
He was the villain, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the villain
yes,
in that film.
yes.
Yeah,
This
so
is
like I
like
said,
the first time I didn't hate Bill Skarsgård, and I
Mhm.
actually thought there were a few moments I thought he looked like Cody Rhodes. So I don't, maybe I've just been watching wrestling too much, but
probably.
I felt a
and,
little bit.
and there's a reason.
literally get wrestling detox.
Well, and there's a reason he can, like, he sees his dead sister. Like, I think they explain it that he's like the reason he sees hallucinations is he's between worlds or something like that.
Yeah.
And I you know what, because of the twist at the end, I thought really when you realize the story you're being told is not really the story, and like I thought that was brilliant, because you go along on that line thinking one thing, realizing later it's not what's actually going on. So I thought the storytelling was creative. I thought like the action set pieces were great. It was funny. I thought they did such a great job balancing making the story matter, and also it never stopped being funny and entertaining. It was it's definitely an action comedy that balances both action and comedy. And I'll be honest with you, I have seen very few movies do that this well. So I'm sure there's old favorites that people like and everything, but I was surprised by how good the quality of both those elements working against each other was, and working together.
And another person I think really helps this film too is Jessica Roth. Now, apparently, she was not even actually supposed to be in this movie. Apparently, they were going to have her part being played by Samantha Weaving, I believe, but then Samantha dropped out of the film, so then she kind of came on. And when you look at the side by side of Samantha and Bill Skarsgård, it's more believable that they would be brother and sister, kind of by their facial features. But like I said, she left the film, so it is what it is at the end of the day. There, but if you guys haven't seen the Happy Death Day to You movies, those are a couple movies that I actually really do enjoy too, and those are movies that blend the idea of like comedy and horror too, where it's like everything's kind of ridiculous, so it's like nothing's really like taken too seriously, so even like the horror aspects or the slasher aspects of the movie are pretty much like played up for laughs too. So this is a film that I think it really excels because it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it doesn't try to be like, let's say like it doesn't have the same tone as like the Beekeeper. Like Beekeeper, and we like say we like Beekeeper, but it's obviously more serious tone because the guy's trying to get revenge on like somebody like who wronged them here. It's the same premise here, but it's like you find out that the whole reason why the area model is talking the way that he is because him and his sister, before he thought that she died, was essentially at an arcade, like one of those like old school arcades, and they would play Street Fighter together all the time. So as a kid, because he pretty much has the mind of a child throughout this entire movie, his whole concept is I'm going to take the coolest voice that I can remember, and the coolest voice I can remember is the announcer from the Street Fighter video game. So this is why. So you're watching a film being played out as if it's kind of like a Street Fighter game, but it's an action comedy. So I do like that they tried something different here, which is something that we give films a lot of crap for just being like regurgitated garbage. You have to give films credit when they do try to do something like new or different that's from everyone else, even if they don't necessarily like succeed in what they're doing. I do have to give them credit for that. And I think this film does a great job of doing that. And like I said, for a movie that's almost 2 hours long, I never like looked at my watch board like some movie challengers and a couple other films, but like this one, for as bad as this film, this year has been so far for movies, this is easily like a top 2 or 3 like movie for me so far. Now you can say that's not saying much, but given like the high praise that we're giving to this movie versus all the other movies that we've been talking about over the last several weeks, the last couple months, I guess you could say, this one definitely takes the cake. Like the whole bit about, like, say, Michelle Dockery here, where she's talking about, do you know how hard it is to get a cereal company to sponsor mass murder? And like that to me, it's just like such a stupid, ridiculous line. but it works very well with the concept of her character.
Exactly. Everyone knew what this was. They
We're gonna say something, right?
Oh, no, yes. Oh, am I muted? No, I'm not muted. I was just gonna say that everyone knew what this was. They were, I want to say, in on the joke, but they never went so far as to wink to the audience. They played it straight, but they knew that this was kind of an outrageous premise. So they went with it and they embraced it. And I love the fact that Michelle Dockery, again, who's best known primarily as from the very posh world of Downton Abbey, is in something like this. It's just complete lunacy, but she loves it. I love her brother, who is more interested in the dialogue and delivery, though that didn't quite work when he and Charlotte Copley were going on about how the dialogue was poor. It was like, well, okay, maybe you're laying it on a little too thick for me. But
I like that actually. Breck Gelman is who you're probably talking about, the bearded guy.
Yeah. I thought maybe they were laying it on a little too thick. I mean, I get it. And I thought the whole thing worked. And again, I compliment a film when it knows what it is. It doesn't pretend to be anything else. It doesn't try to be deep or esoteric. It's a fun. It was aiming to be a fun action comedy, and it worked as a fun action comedy. Again, maybe the beheading at the dinner scene, maybe that was a little too much for me. When Charlotte Copley leaves the film, I'll try to put it that way, maybe that was a little too much for me. I think I actually did kind of let out an audible sound of horror.
But one thing with this film too, just real quick, is that obviously there's a lot of, I guess, references and kind of like style choices to like other action movies. So if you are an action genre fan, you'll notice a lot of things that this movie has been inspired from other films, right? So obviously we got the guy here from the Raid movies. I believe his name's Yaya Ruin is his name. Malaysian actor. He was big in the first two Raid movies. The whole final fight scene between him and obviously the two kids is a callback to that first Raid movie where he's fighting the two guys in the basement there. So they do a lot of callbacks and references to other movies that I think work well for it. Like I said, you're basically doing a guy who's basically doing a street fighter impersonation throughout the entire film here. So I think this audience is, I mean, this film is smart enough to like know its audience and knows like what to play to give them an enjoyable film. Because at the end of the day, this is all that it really truly is. It's just a purely enjoyable film for people to like watch. You just haven't had that a lot so far this year. So I'll go ahead and shoot this one over. Final thoughts with you guys here. If there's any other scenes that you guys want to bring up, this one, like I said, one of my top 3 best movies so far this year. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And by the way, just don't throw this out here too. People were yelling at me over a review that Chris Swan did on Bounding in the Comics, thinking that it was me. It was like, how come on the YouTube you said this movie was great, but then on the written review you said it was crap? It's like, it's 2 different reviewers. Like, it wasn't me who did that review. Just because you didn't figure that out by the name, skin color and age. Anyway, this one is, like I said, 4 out of 5 with me. Definitely a great movie. Rob, what are your final thoughts here?
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that scene where because his sister tells him that, no matter how bad things are, how dark things get, we'll always have this memory to, bring us back, to where we were as kids. And it's like that scene actually solidifies as the reason, at least the reason I cared about his journey and why he was doing this and why he was seeking revenge and it gave his arc purpose. It gave his character purpose. And it's so rare for this kind of movie to leave any kind of emotional impact because it's just about kind of jokes and violence and over the top, spectacle. But it did such a great job, like melding all those things together. And that I was genuinely surprised by how good this was. I only knew about it because I saw a trailer for, what was it? The terrible Guy Ritchie movie, but like the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. So that's the only reason I knew about it. But I'm so glad I went to see it. It's easily one of the best movies I've seen this year. I'm glad Bill Skarsgård actually gave a decent performance for once. And and again, I have a deaf brother, so I have a little bit more of a connection to the deaf side of it as well. And even some of the humor that's related to that, like not being able to understand the guy who you think is speaking gibberish. My brother is great at lip reading, but every once in a while he'll meet somebody who's just like, I can't read their fucking lips. So that helped out a little bit more. But yeah, I have not actually settled on a score yet, but I'll go with a 4 out of 5 for now.
You brought up something that I wanted to. Oh yeah, you mentioned like things that really worked in this film. Sharlto Copley, even though he's only in the film for a brief amount of time, I thought was one of the best characters in the film, even up to his demise in the movie. Just kind of worked perfectly with the tone of the film, where he has this moment of like revelation. It's like, yeah, you know what? These people don't respect me either. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and join you, and then gone. It's just like it worked so perfectly with this movie. Like I said, there's a lot to like about this film. Rick, as someone who has not seen any John Wick movies except for the last one, because that's just like the guy that you are, what would you give this movie?
I'm going to be maybe a little harsher on it than you and Rob, in that I'm only, I think, going to go to maybe a 3.5, because again, I mean, I think I'll put it this way: it is one of the better films that I've seen. It's right up there with Beekeeper, because again, I appreciate a film that knows what it is, doesn't pretend to be anything else, and is just an enjoyable film. I never once fell asleep. I never once thought I was bored. I mean, I'm not someone who enjoys seeing violence in film, but again, I appreciated the fact that it knew what it was. It didn't pretend to be anything else. I was really impressed with I guess the reasoning or the calling when they go on TV, and was it Famke Janssen seems to be kind of senile and not quite fully aware of where she's at. It's like, oh look, it's a Joe Biden reference. No, I'm kidding. It's fun, it's funny, it's enjoyable. It knows its audience. It gives its audience what it wants. So I'm gonna give it like a three, probably 3.5. But it's probably I really am having a hard time imagining that it's not going to crack my 10 best of the year, which is a bit of a surprise, given that I'm not, big into violent films. I will say though, I'm disappointed that apparently it's a flop. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Well, the one thing I will say about this film too is just that it wasn't marketed very well. I don't know if it has a lot to do with the fact that, like I said, it's a South African production. It's not like a major studio. I know Lionsgate won the distribution rights to it, but it was like a big studio movie by any stretch of the imagination. So a lot of people just simply didn't know about the movie, and that's why it's kind of gotten the play that it has. Like I said, Lionsgate and Roadside Attractions just acquired the rights to the film like 3 months ago, and then it got a theatrical release, and there was really no real serious marketing about this whatsoever. So a lot of people just didn't see it because they didn't know about it. And you can't really have a successful film if people don't know that it exists.
Well, and here's the thing. This is what they call dumping a movie. They don't want to spend the money to promote it, because if they do and it only makes whatever and doesn't end up being a financially beneficial thing, they don't want to take that risk. This is the kind of movie you take a risk on, though, that you have a vision for. You give a good marketing just do it through social media. Like don't spend so much on maybe TV ads or print ads, if print ads exist anymore. And you know what I mean? Do it because it's gonna appeal to the younger audiences anyway. So
and look, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to completely bury like Lionsgate, because they have had some solid movies over the last few years. Like, if you look back at everything that they released, but at the same time, it's like you put all your marketing budget behind the Henry Cavill movie, and then look how far that got you. It's like, imagine if you took some of that money and promoted this film, which probably would have gotten more box office return than that other movie did. So it's something to look back to here. Orange Hat, do you have any thoughts about our film based on our recommendation?
No.
This man has no.
Sorry. This movie,
and with that, we'll conclude.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It just doesn't interest me. I'm sorry.
I'll put it this way, Orange. I mean, for me, who's not big into an action film, to have enjoyed it and to really think that it has a good chance to be in the top 10, that says a lot. I appreciate, again, the fact that it knew its audience. If you like this type of film, you'll enjoy it.
Hey, look, I hope this film doesn't make it on my top 10 this year, because that means that I have a lot more good movies to look forward to for the rest of the year. I mean, if this film does make my top 10, that's probably going to be not a good indication of where we're at as far as movies goes. But I will say this I watched 3 movies this weekend. I saw this movie. I saw Unsung Hero, which was actually really good too. And then I saw Challengers. Now I'm going to do a whole full rundown on Challengers, but we'll just briefly talk about it real quick because I want to rant about something. This film is absolute dog shit. Like, first of all, we need to stop pretending like Zendaya is attractive, and we need to stop pretending like she's a huge star. She's not. Please stop. That's all I have to say there. 2, for any of you simps out there who thought you were going to go see some kind of like sexy love triangle with a Disney Channel actress, they bait and switched you, because this movie is really about 2 gay dudes more than it is about one midly attractive tennis player. And the whole thing was 2 hours and 10 minutes long. And this is one of the biggest disgraces I've seen all year long. I give it a 0 out of 5, a strong 0. I'm not sure if it's my worst movie of the year. There's a couple that I have to look back and see, but this is pretty bad.
No.
It's a homoerotic soap
yes.
opera. Okay, it's fucking terrible. It's literally the whole movie. The whole commentary is, oh hey, these guys are really gay for each other, and they need to and whatever. It's like they need to sleep with Zendaya. They need to sleep with Zendaya to reconnect, to basically reconnect the logic of, oh yeah, that's right, we're gay for each other. It's a fucking terrible movie, because and here's the thing, Rick will say it's not a terrible movie. When you examine it, it's even worse. If you just stay on the surface, it's like, okay, whatever, it's fun. No, when you start looking at it, it's like, oh my God, this is a giant piece of shit. But again,
why would I not say it was? Well, that you may be, but Why would I say that it's not terrible? I fell asleep twice at it.
I
Apparently,
know you just said that in the chat where you're like the music was good.
Yeah, the music. Yeah, I liked it. I'm like, yeah,
Put
I
you
could
right to
hear
sleep,
this.
didn't it?
Well, no, I didn't fall asleep during that part.
Well, it's Trent
Better
Reznor and
lullaby than
Atticus
NyQuil.
Ross. You know, it's guys that know how to make a score, but it's a techno score. It's
a
literally
techno
like a
score.
gay. You're in a gay. It's like so. Even though the music's good, it's like I mean, again,
The
you're just
problem,
reinforcing.
I don't know if this was your experience in the theaters, but when they're playing the music, I had a harder time hearing the dialogue, and I don't know if that was intentional or not. I actually was almost straining to hear because they play it and then they're speaking at the same time. I don't understand the logic of playing music to
I'm
where you
just
can't
glad.
hear.
I'm
You
just
can't hear the
glad they
dialogue.
stopped playing Rihanna after a certain time period. Like that to me was enough. So yeah.
Now, I don't think they're that unambiguous. I mean, there are a couple of moments. First off, I mean, when they're making out with each other, all right, I would say that's a good
And they're
sign.
talking about, oh, he taught me how to jerk off, like with
Yeah,
You would
instructions.
never say. By the way, you would never say, even if that's true, you would never say that. And I know this.
Never
as
say that
man
to
of
a
that
woman that you're
age.
trying to sleep
Like,
with.
Right. You would never. And by the way, this is very straight, but you would never say that to a woman you're trying to sleep with.
No.
Yeah,
you
I know.
doth,
The
you
hand
doth
gestures.
protest, you doth
Yeah.
protest too much. You doth protest too much,
Yeah, I
Roberto. I'll also say
It
that
was like,
when,
oh yeah, when we were teenagers, he taught me how to jerk off. Do you want to have sex now? No.
wait a minute. I would have thought that at that moment when he's in that Tinder thing and there's a man that pops up and he actually kind of pauses.
That's the other thing, just real quick. All of these characters are terrible people. There's not a single redeemable, likable character in this entire movie, and it's 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Here's the thing. I was expecting them to give the audience a reason to care about Zendaya's character because I was like, okay, she has no principles or ethics or morals here. Where do we get to like maybe the vulnerability of like, why, something that's tying all of her actions to meaning. And there's nothing. She's just like, she's the catalyst to get two guys to get over their shit. I fucking hated it. I hated everything about this movie.
Well, I'm now that I saw it, after I saw it, I understood the comment about the windstorm. And I thought this is very curious. It's like were they
I'll
really
put it to you
trying to
this
go for
way.
some
Drive
symbolism?
Away Dolls. Drive Away Dolls was my #1 movie of the year. At least Drive Away Dolls had, the courtesy to only be 81 minutes long. This was 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Because it went back and forth through time. You had to establish the past and the present. You also had to spend an endless amount of time on the tennis match, which really could have. I guess you needed to have that
Only for them to like gay bro hug at the very end, and like everyone's cheering. It's like,
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is this world? What have they done to us? What did they do to us?
Well, you also I mean, you had a lot of moments, I guess, where you could see all of them, shirtless and showing off their beautiful bodies. It's like, okay, if that's what you really
oh yeah,
want
by the way, a lot of man ass and balls in this movie if you're into that. So
yeah, I mean, when they get to that part made me think this is strange. When he's scrolling and then the man pops up and then he actually seems to pause as if undecided whether or not to swipe left or right. So I thought that was a very curious thing for what I understand of the steps of
put
the
it to you
straight
this
man
way:
can
if I do a top 10 movies that make me want to commit jihad list this year, this would probably be #1 on the list. So,
but as I commented to Rob, this reminded me of a lot of Y Tu Mamá También. It seems to be similar. It hits similar beats. They're supposed to be straight. They fall for the same woman, and then they end up having a romance with each other. So, and they're also supposed to be best friends. So I was racking my brain watching this movie, in between, in and out of consciousness, trying to figure out what it reminded me of. And finally it hit me. It reminded me of Y Tu Mamá También. I don't know if that's a good thing
nobody
or a bad
knows
thing.
what that movie is. Anyway,
it has a criterion, sir.
I do, yeah, but it's not good.
Yeah,
It's another like fucking gay fantasy. Alfonso Cuarón, who I hate
Shocker.
anyway. Look, and here's the thing. I'm open to movies about all kinds of things, like gay couples, whatever. Like, I just want the movie to be good. And that's the thing
We
about
just saw
Challengers.
Love Lies Bleeding, right?
Well, yeah, right. But even with Challengers, there's no substance. It's like a surface-based high school, college freshman drama soap opera bullshit. Like, there's nothing going on, and the characters have no depth. So it's like, wait a minute. This really is for a narcissistic, just like navel gazing generation that doesn't want anything but surface-based, like high gloss trash. Because again, it's edited well, but all of that is to hide from the fact that the movie has no ideas. Like, Luca Guadagnino is a talented director and everything, but like, there's no story here. There's no plot. It's just, hey, these two guys are secretly into each other, but are super competitive, and Zendaya's in the middle, and oh my god, it's just fucking gay.
And it kind of for me, it robs
Yes.
robs the movie when you decide that you're not going to have an actual winner. You kind of have it like a split decision, and I'm going, no, I don't like that. I would have preferred one of them to win and one of them to lose. I'm impressed though that the guy remembered that if he swung the ball, if he swung the racket in a particular way, it meant that he slept with her. I'm thinking, wow, I wouldn't remember that detail like 13 years later, but good for you. I would just thought it was strange, but it had to work. It had to work in this story.
Yeah, this movie ain't Clockwork Orange. That's my counter argument to that right there. So here's the thing. Next week there's technically 3 movies, but I don't think you guys have to, because apparently I'm the only person who lives near Koreans, so I'm the only one who has access to the third Roundup movie, which I would have made our movie next week. Because here's the thing, I just saw the Fall Guy today. It is horrendously boring. Like, I almost fell asleep 30 minutes and 60 minutes in, and I gave up about an hour and 10 minutes into the movie. That's how horrendously boring that is, which is shocking coming from a film that has 2 Academy Award nominated actors and actresses who was just in the last Academy Awards. For a film to be that boring, it's bad. So I could just make you guys suffer and watch that film, but since you guys don't have the Korean movie, guess what? I guess we just won't review a movie next week then, unless you guys really want to watch the Fall Guy.
I have been dreading that movie coming out, because ever since I saw the trailer I was like, that's exactly the kind of thing that I do not want to see, and that's going to be terrible. Oh, it's David Lettich, the guy that did Bullet Train, that movie I thought was awful. And it's Ryan Gosling and his handsome, idiot fucking persona again. I just look, I like Emily Blunt now. Like, I've definitely come over on her, but this is not going to be a good movie. Like, I'm so sick of being right about everything. Okay, I'm so tired. Please, somebody prove me wrong about something. In terms of movies,
with massive ego.
I was just surprised. I had been going back and forth on the idea whether The Fall Guy was an adaptation of the TV show, but the TV show doesn't look anything like the trailer for the movie, because the TV show was not about some like murdering things. It was just about his life off of the ring. No, he didn't win. He has never won. Thank heavens. So I didn't know. I kept wondering, because they're using the title of The Fall Guy, and I thought, is this based on the show? The trailer made me think that it was not. But yeah, it's Ryan Gosling playing, when he's supposed to be funny, when he tries to be funny and he fails, because he never looks like he's trying. So I mean, I'll be at a baseball game, so it won't matter to me on Friday what you guys want to do.
No, I'm not talking about Friday. I was talking about next week. I'm not.
Oh.
Do a show on Friday.
Well, we'll see, because I really can't afford much of anything anymore. Like, I'm literally poor. I'm almost at no money.
Well, you're a Oh, you were serious?
Oh yeah, I'm serious.
Well, we got one more topic to talk about tonight, and this should get us into a good, deep discussion in tonight's show. This is the problem with Hollywood in a nutshell. When their ideas fail, they can't just accept the fact that their ideas are a failure. They have to find some other reason to why their ideas stink. And here we have the Russo brothers, the famed Russo brothers of the Captain America films and the last two Avengers movies. And apparently they went on some diatribe about the fact that, well, it's not the fact that, people are just sick to death of superhero movies. No, it's the younger people. Is this generation is looking for new ways to tell their own stories that serve as their own sort of collective ADHD. That must be why our $250 million Hollywood films are not making money anymore. So, like I said, you guys know who these guys are. Like I said, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Endgame, Infinity Wars. So these are like the big head honcho directors over at the MCU, but people have noticed that the MCU is falling off a cliff. It's not making money. It desperately needs Deadpool and Wolverine to be a massive success, or else there is no future for the MCU. And even if it is a success, there probably still isn't a future for the MCU here. But I guess they were asked about kind of the viewing habits of the audiences, and this is what was it Joe Russo said. I think it's a reflection of the current state of everything. Joe said it's difficult right now, and it's an interesting time. I think we're in a transition period of people don't know quite yet how they're going to receive stories moving forward, what kind of stories that they're going to want. Maybe because you guys don't actually know how to write stories in Hollywood anymore. That was another thing I hated about challengers. It's like you guys don't even know how to write romance anymore. Like you failed on everything. Anyway, there's a big generational divide about how some of you consume media. There's a generation that is used to the appointment viewing, going to hear on a certain date to see something, but it's aging out. Meanwhile, this new generation that are like, I want it now, I want to process it now, and then they're moving on to the next thing, which they process while doing two other things at the same time. So it's their fault. It's the audience's fault that our stuff isn't making money. It's a very different moment in time that there's ever been. Like it's been like what 4 or 5 years since that last movie came out, and then and to think that everyone, including Marvel, is experiencing the same thing, this transition. I think that's really probably what's at play more than anything else. So yeah, it's the Zoomers. The Zoomers are the problem here, and they go on to talk about this generational divide. We have never collectively, globally process our conversation so intimately and quickly as we do now. I think that creates a problem where we over-process. We don't care about context anymore. We communicate through memes and headlines, and no one's reading past 2 sentences. So everything's 100 characters or less, or 10-second videos on social media, or you swipe and say, I think that the 2-hour format and the structure that goes into making a movie, it's over a century old now, and everything always transitions. So it's movies that are failing now, apparently. So there's something happening again. It's a form of repetitiveness. But it's hard to reinvent that form, and I think the next generation is looking for ways to tell their own story. Blah blah blah. I already just read that in the headline here. So he goes on and on here. They mentioned superhero fatigue, so I think it's fatigue in general. I think your movies just suck. Like, let's be very, very clear here. Your movies are shit, and no one wants to pay money to see them. That's the problem. And until you guys accept that's the problem, you're always going to come up with excuses. The superhero fatigue question was around long before the work we were doing. So it's sort of an internal complaint, like the way we always used to cite this back in our early days of superhero work. People complained about the Westerns the same way, but they lasted for decades. They were continuously reinvented and brought to new heights as they went on. So they're fundamentally rejecting this idea of superhero fatigue, and it's like, it's the audience that's fault. It's the Zoomers that don't know how to consume cinema. That's the problem here. I'll go ahead and start with Rick here because you love the MCU. Do you agree with their assertion?
I can't live without more Echo. I'm waiting for Echo season 2 to drop. I think it's a ridiculous argument, and one of the things that as you were reading that article, I was thinking we've seen films that are much shorter than a lot of the MCU films. A lot of them are noir films. Like Detour is a little over an hour. Gun Crazy is a little over an hour. I saw another one, Pushover, that's like 88 minutes long, and they were able to tell stories and quickly and effectively. They don't want to address the fact that there's a lot of bloat in a lot of these films. So the idea that it's because they want shorter films or they just want memes and quick videos, that's an absurdity. These were the same people that sat for days to watch every film in chronological order. And now, I mean, they were willing to sacrifice days to watch things like Thor: The Dark World. And now suddenly their viewing habits, these are the same audience. Their viewing habits are suddenly changing. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that once we hit Endgame, and once we hit that kind of cathartic experience where people were crying and cheering and laughing and experiencing some sort of spiritual awakening, that was it. That was it for them. That the story ended for them. They're trying to keep going and adding more and more to the story, when the story for many people, it's over. They don't want to see it. They don't care anymore. And you've lost the people that they care about, specifically Iron Man. So why are they going to keep going? Why are they going to keep watching? It has nothing to do with audiences' short attention spans, although it is true audiences do have kind of a shorter attention span. It has to do with no story. It has to do with excessive bloat. Who really here wants to sit through Quantum Mania again? Who here will want to revisit that? Maybe not even when they do another marathon. If they want to see all of them.
What MCU film post Endgame will anyone want to watch again, like on their own free time? Like, name one. Exactly.
I think it's funny that, that they're talking about short attention spans. It's like your audiences have the short attention spans. The people that have an attention span that can sit for a 2.5 hour or 3 hour well-made movie, we're not interested in your Marvel fucking bullshit. So what you're lamenting is that your core audience are the people that are looking to influencers and YouTube videos for their entertainment. And that's fine, that's fine. But like, we outlasted you. Okay, us, the lovers of cinema, the art form that has existed for 100 years. You're the flash in the pan. You are not the future. Okay, you know what? The future is what the medium has always been. Okay, and it's about telling human stories through the cinematic art form, and that can mean many different things. But your fucking theme park bullshit rides are over. It's over, and I'm so happy that we're finally getting to that point. Now, I've been saying this for 3 years, but it's but it's like I'm glad that people have stopped giving a shit. I'm glad people have stopped like, okay, I'm done. I'm ready to move on to something else. And guess what? Movies are still here. And yes, the industry is probably in the worst shape it's ever been, but the MCU is like a death balloon, hovering above Hollywood. And when it pops, there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of, I don't want to call them fatalities, but a lot of people are going to go, and Hollywood will be irreparably changed for that. But hopefully in the aftermath, something genuine, something that's worth quality can take its place. I am hopeful of that. Whether it occurs remains to be seen, but I certainly hope that this is the beginning of the end of the MCU.
I mean, remember a few years ago, we were being told that was it Martin Scorsese was being punished for speaking ill of the MCU, which is why The Irishman lost everything. It was payback, and Marty was just a bitter elitist has-been who just made only gangster films.
And then his next movie, despite not winning any, got like 13 nominations. So it's like
10.
It's just 10. Okay, but it's like just be quiet. Just let this play out and be quiet.
Yeah, because again, the MCU can't go on forever. It's not, everything has to end. And really, for so many people, Endgame was the end. And that was the end of the story that they had followed for 10 years or 15 or however many years. Once that happened, there wasn't anything for audiences to really care about, because that story that for some reason they had invested so much time and energy into, it's not something I would have, but they invested it, fine. That's their right. It's what they enjoyed. But once that ended, there was nothing left. They could tie it into the TV shows, but if you need to watch the TV shows to understand the next movie, there weren't going to be many people who were that invested.
Yep, I agree. Go ahead, Orange.
First off, fuck you to the Russos for that ADHD comment, unless they actually know people with ADHD. I have ADHD. So I do kind of take exception to their stupidity comment, or to their comment there. Yeah, you also should do some self-reflecting, because if it wasn't for your stupidity, people wouldn't have started to lose interest in the MCU. You did a whole fucking apology tour for Endgame. You had to basically act off of a movie in between your two big movies that really didn't put you in any, or do you any favors. You made a movie with full admission that it was agenda driven. Watch the audio commentary of Endgame, folks. They will tell you, we wanted to do this for this reason, and it is agenda driven. You all know what I'm talking about. The synced periods on the battlefield scene. They said that it was specifically to give the girl power moments and shit. Not to mention all of the other stuff with the problems with Endgame. People didn't start losing interest after Endgame. They started losing interest after Infinity War. And you think that it's because of the fans not knowing what they want, or knowing what they want and then moving on to something else and consume. No, we know what we want. We want good storytelling. We want actors who are respectful to the people who are putting bread on their fucking tables. And when your talents come out and insult us, and people want to or people go in and start saying some horrendous shit about people, especially the majority of the people who are putting money into these theaters for the film, well, yeah, you're going to start pushing people away. People are going to be like, nope, don't want to see that. No, they didn't. People.
Now, hold on. Let me pause there just real quick. Let me pause this real quick. You talk about giving people what they want. Do they want Ryan Gosling and Mike Day on the premiere of the Fall Guy movie dresses as Beavis as a butthead? It's from like 6 minutes ago.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, because they did the SNL bit.
No, I don't want that. That's ugly. Go away. Be gone.
That's
Mikey Day. Doesn't Mikey Day play the one Trump son too? Not Don Jr., but the Eric. Really? Yeah, he plays Eric.
That's embarrassing. I mean, you're trying to promote the movie and you're calling back to a skit that you did on a TV show.
But yeah, as for the
dying TV show,
the Russos, I started losing interest after Infinity War or actually before Captain Marvel. I really just had no interest, because it's like, you guys had the perfect ending with Infinity War. It was a dark ending. You actually did something that a lot of people the last time I saw a good dark ending to a film was the end of Terminator 3. Not saying the movie was good, but I am saying that the ending was good. It was dark. I loved it. But yes, the Russos, they think they're the king shit because, they made like $6 billion in the movies or Avengers movies. It's like, dude, fuck. You think that that's your saving grace? You think that's a measurement of success, how much money you make? Sure, it is in the business model, but it isn't to the people who are actually putting the butts in or their own asses in the seats. They want to be entertained. We know what we want. We want to be entertained. We don't want to be preached at. You thinking that we're simply just sitting down watching and we want something else, because, well, this has gotten boring. Yeah, it has gotten boring, but not the reasons why you think. It's because of you guys. You made it boring. You actually did this to yourselves. You didn't, or we didn't do it to you. You did it to yourselves. You made your product into, well, shit. And I'm sorry, but when it comes to shit, I'd rather flush it than watch it. I'm sorry.
Well,
those are my thoughts.
Well,
on this.
let's hold on. Let's pause right there because I want to parlay this into another conversation. This is kind of our semi-closer or closer part two. Chris Hemsworth doubled down once again and said that he regrets making Thor: Love and Thunder because it's an absolutely crappy, terrible movie. And like I said, I figured this out the second he did the interview the week of the film that he hates David Cohen. He hates this film. He knows it is an embarrassment. He's been burying this movie ever since he made it. But once again, he came out and saying that he regrets making Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't think there's any way that he can come back from this at this point because look, all of Thor's best arcs as a character has already been done up to this point. There's really nothing more you can do to revive or save that character up here. But he's going on and saying here that I want to make sure that I
not
get
won an Endgame, but won an Infinity War. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was pretty much at his peak there at Infinity War. Then they dropped the ball in Endgame with him, and so then they came back with this film, which did nothing for nobody. It says he wanted to talk about acting in the film. He says that I would love everyone else's. I said I would read everyone else's lines. I was they got way cooler stuff, so they're having more fun. What is my character doing? It's always about you got this wig on, you got muscles, you got a costume. It's like where's the lighting? It's like I'm a big part. I said I'm part of this big thing, but it was pretty replaceable. He's talking about himself as a character here. He says, I got caught up in the improv, the wackiness, and I became a parody of myself. He said, I did not stick the landing. So he talks about that, hey, look, he tried to do something funny and quirky with this film, and it didn't work. And like I said, he's been burying this film for quite some time. He even talked about the fact that his daughter, who I believe is in the film, who played his adopted daughter towards the very end of the movie, that was his real life daughter in the film. That apparently her friends, who are all 8 or 9 years old, all buried the movie in front of him. So that was a pretty hard one for him to swallow. He said last year that he cringed at it and equally laughed at it. I think we just had too much fun and became too silly. It's always hard being in the center of it, having a really real perspective. I love the process. It's always a ride, but I just don't know how people are going to respond to it. They hated it. That's how they responded to it. And like I said, he says that the fact that we've been able to do something fairly different in the process. Thor 1 and 2 was his own thing. 3 and 4 was a very different feel, even in the Avengers. The Lebowski Thor, which is the one in Endgame. Different directors, mostly think I have to do something different on my own. That I got sick of the character pretty quick after a couple of years. If I was going to do something again, it would have to be tonally different. And we have characters that do very drastic. It said they do something very drastic to keep people on their toes. Otherwise, it's just the fatigue of those characters and those films, which are people we've seen it. So there's really nothing much there. He's just, like I said, saying that the movie sucks and he probably wants nothing to do with it ever again, which he probably get his wish because I don't think anyone's really clamoring for another Thor movie. So real quick, I'll go with Rob. What do you think about Chris Hemsworth Thor comments and David Cohen as a writer and a director?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't want to defend Chris Hemsworth unnecessarily. He's not a very good actor. I actually laughed at the news story that Kevin Costner had him for an audition for his movie, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do it myself." And look, I don't know what Chris Hemsworth does. I mean, maybe he can just get by being like The Rock, just being like a big hunky action guy. For the rest, because I know that that Amazon movie he was in, people liked a lot. Was it? Wait. I'm fucking it.
Amazon or Netflix.
I'm fucking it up with Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt was in an Amazon thing that people liked, right? Where his family gets killed and he goes on a revenge spree. Yeah, then Extraction.
Hemsworth is the one who did the Netflix stuff. Yeah.
Extraction, right? Yeah. So again, I've never seen any of these things, so that's why I confuse them. But anyway, I don't know if Chris Hemsworth needs to go back to acting school to try to actually become a thespian, or if that's just beyond him. But yeah, it's really a shame what they did. Look, I'm not saying Thor is a great character or it was going to end up in a much better spot, but the way they emasculated his character was so embarrassing. For any kind of heroic character from a proud label like Marvel Comics to just be cut off at the knees like that, or frankly balls, that's just so disappointing. And any actor playing a character like that, you would have to be emotionally, retarded to not understand why you would find that either disappointing or soul sucking. Like, you're a joke. You're not even a hero. You're so, and I struggled through watching. What was it? Thor: Love and Thunder? Was that the last one?
Fourth Thor. Yeah.
So just I do partially feel bad for him, just because it's like, it must have been an incredibly soul-sucking experience filming that movie. And then after the fact, you have to deal with your daughter and her friends making fun of you as being a completely lame movie star. So I do feel bad for him to some degree. I think his talent is somewhat limited, but at the end of the day, we're all human. So, I also hate Taika Waititi. I think he is a talentless piece of shit.
I don't have that much sympathy for Chris Hemsworth because he went along with it. Look, but I will agree with you on this. When you agree or allow the character to become a joke, there's no going back from it. I don't know how anyone's going to accept this character as kind of strong or brooding or heroic when you had Fat Thor, and that was a whole joke. That, oh, look, this formerly muscular god is now a schlub. And then how he was an idiot throughout Love and Thunder and whatever came before Ragnarok. Yeah. They were all, he was playing an idiot, and so he went along with it. He knew it. He read the script. He agreed to it. I'm sure by this point he had some power or some say, and he could have told Taika Waititi, don't turn my character into a joke, or fine, have some humor with him. Don't make him so serious. I think they thought that the first two Thor films, maybe they thought the character was too serious, but then they went completely the opposite, and they made him into a joke and made him into a parody. So you, as the audience, are going to see this character and say, I'm not taking this character seriously if you won't take the character seriously. So why then am I going to want to see more of your adventures? He agreed to it. That's the thing. He agreed to perform it. He did not, as far as I know, push back, and he has the influence. And he has, maybe, I don't know if he was the power, but he could have just said, okay, no, I'm not going to perform it like this. Can you, alter the script a bit to make me less dumb, make me less of this himbo, make me at least have some positive heroic moments instead of just being completely clueless and deferring to Jane at every opportunity. He didn't do that, and now he says, oh, well, I got carried away. No, you agreed to it. I don't know if you really did get carried away with the wackiness, but you agreed to it, and you can't come back from it. I don't see how you can come back and turn this character into a serious character when you allowed and agreed and participated in making him into a joke.
I agree with Rick there, because it's like, dude, you did this to yourself. You did this character dirty. Your character was great in 1 and 2. I'm one of those few people who actually liked part 2. I do admit it's a step down from the first one, but in my opinion, the first Thor movie will always be the best Thor movie. Ragnarok sucks, in my opinion, because they made a mockery out of both Hulk and Thor. They literally have the strongest version of Hulk from the comics in that movie, and he's still a fucking joke. And it's like, I'm sorry, that's just ridiculous. Taika Waititi, or the MCU, made the biggest mistake by bringing Taika Waititi into the MCU. Because one, he fucking straight up threatens the fans. I'll ruin your mythos in a minute, baby. And it's like, dude, I'm sorry. As soon as you said that, I would have fired you from the project. As soon as I heard you say that shit. And when it comes to everything else, Chris Hemsworth saying, yeah, I should have did this, should have did that, I definitely dropped the ball. It's like, you dropped the ball when you agreed to it. As Rick said, you dropped the ball when you agreed to it, man. And there's not much I can really say beyond that. Chris Hemsworth is also living on borrowed time because he's got that freaking genetic brain disease that's basically turning him into mush. So it's like, dude, stick to your action films. But also, this man is a self-admitted male feminist. So I really, it's like, dude, you have some minor talent, but that is going to hurt you in the long run. You did no favors with Men
I
in
will say
Black.
this.
Yeah.
I will say this just real quick too, because clearly there's something going on here with this last Thor movie, because this is the only one of the bad, horrible films that he's been a part of that he's publicly apologizing for over and over again. Because, like, dude, you were in Ghostbusters 2016, you were in that Men in Black reboot, you were in what was it, that Snow White and the Huntsman movie, you're in that Furiosa movie, which sounds like another piece of crap. Two of them, right? So it's like, dude, you've been in far worse movies than Love and Thunder. Like, Love and Thunder is bad, but there's been some other stinkers you've been a part of too. And he hasn't, in his mind, hasn't felt the need to apologize for any of those films. So it's like, why is he coming out specifically against this film? Like, this is the one where he draws the line at. And I think, like you said, there's more behind the scenes here that's going on, that him and Taika Waititi do not get along, which is why you hear that Taika is not coming back to do another Thor movie. And I think it's because if there's any chance that Chris Hemsworth comes back at Thor, he will not be working with Taika Waititi when he does it.
Well, I mean, all the other movies that he did that were terrible, they don't. I don't know if they have that super rabid fan base and are part of a continuing series. No one really remembers Men in Black International. No one really wants to remember the Ghostbusters, 2016, which apparently made more money than Frozen Empire, which is rather sad. Well, I don't know what's sad. Point being, this is a continuation, and this is a character that he's most identified with. He's not really identified with Men in Black. He's not identified with Ghostbusters. He's identified as Thor. Outside of Thor, what do people really think of Chris Hemsworth as an actor? I mean, I'm not talking about a star. I'm talking about an actual actor. Like, what movie can he point to and say, oh, yes, I opened this film and I received great acclaim for it, both box office wise and critically? He can't. He is Thor. To many people, he is Thor, and the last one was a complete parody. So I think that's why he's pushing back. I don't know if it has much to do with Taika Waititi. I can't say. I can't look into their minds unless both of them openly say it. But I think it's more with identification of the character. And I will agree with Rob. Yes, he's not a particularly good actor. I don't think he is a good actor. I don't think anything stands out in his filmography that says, oh, yes, this is the performance. I only remember him from Ghostbusters for a bad performance. I don't know what that says.
I did like him in The Heart of the Sea, where the movie that's based on the inspiration for Moby Dick. That was actually one of his best acting jobs, in my opinion.
I don't remember it all that well. I don't think I liked
it. Give it a watch, and
I'll watch it again.
I
can watch it again.
A second watch.
I could give it a second watch, but I was not too thrilled with it. But yeah, I might watch it again.
He wasn't bad in oh god, what was it? Bad Times at the El Royale, which is a movie that I liked it and I've forgotten about it. That's the last time Dakota Johnson actually also gave a decent performance. But yeah, no, that's a fun movie to check out if you have the patience for it. A lot of audiences just don't. And I remember I went to see that like at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night and got out at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and everybody was like, fuck that. So but yeah, no, it's very specific roles. Like, yeah, playing a deranged cult leader, okay, like whatever. You're only in the movie for 25-30 minutes, okay, you got other actors to kind of to put around you, make you look good. So but yeah, I just don't have any vision for Chris Hemsworth being much of an actor going forward.
Yep, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of just the way that I feel about the whole situation. I mean, look, as far as the Russos go about the MCU, it's like I said, Hollywood is always going to point the finger at you before they ever point the finger at themselves. So they think that you're somehow the problem, the reason why you don't want to watch movies anymore, because you don't want to consume stuff that they do. There was some movie not too long ago that came out, and it was like, oh, you guys say you want original stuff, but you didn't watch this. It's like, no one knew this movie existed. Like, don't blame the audience for your lack of marketing. That's one thing. But now they're trying to blame people for, it's like, oh, you guys don't want to sit through 3 hours of our cinematic superhero art, is because it stinks. Like, that's why. And And that's why Chris Hemsworth is out there apologizing about the films that he's doing because it stinks. That's what it all comes down to. So
There's a more. There's a positive. At least they're no longer blaming the pandemic, which is the reason West Side Story with one of the guys from Challengers flopped because it was a pandemic. That was the only reason.
Is it Mike Fast?
Yes.
Like that? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The guy that actually married the Zendaya character.
God, she always has a scowl on her face too. That's the other thing. Like, bitch, you're a fucking like multi-millionaire, like wife of a tennis pro. Could you give me a smile? Could you give me something?
Nah,
Can you at
she
least
took her
pretend not to
acting
be a
at
complete
the
dirtbag?
school of Brie Larson.
Brie Larson
Well, was there a
smiles.
black couch
That's
behind
all
her?
I'm gonna say. Brie Larson smiles.
She doesn't
Brie
smile.
Larson
She breaks
complains
mirrors.
about smile.
Well, did she?
It
Well, did she
hurts
smile
her
in,
to
in,
smile.
those in those commercials? What did she selling? A truck? Did she smile in
Oh,
those?
the Nissan commercials. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she might have smiled there. I don't know.
She grins.
I will say this. I think Brie Larson is probably more insufferable of a woman than Zendaya is, but Brie Larson is objectively better looking than Zendaya. I'll just put it that way. And then second question here, Neil Zoe with the closing question: who do you think is the bigger hack, Taika Waititi or Ryan Johnson? It's still going to be Ryan Johnson for me. So,
Rather spoiled for choice. I'm leaning Waititi.
Here's the problem. Ryan Johnson's actually capable of making a good movie because he's done it
Yeah.
before. Taika Waititi has never made a good movie.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Jojo Rabbit. So what?
Jojo Rabbit was a fucking abomination of a film. I don't care what anybody says. Taika Waititi sucks as a fucking filmmaker.
I've gone on.
He sucks as a fucking person. Ryan Johnson, don't give him a Star Wars film. He does a good job at making a movie.
No, the Knives Out ones have been terrible.
I will say this just real quick. My complaint about Jojo Rabbit was that fact that I think that the serious aspects of the movie were well done, but of course, because Taika Waititi is a man-child, he has to kind of undercut that with like it's a stupid comedy, which does not work for the tone of his movie, and that's why I hated that film. So
I think the original novel was serious, and he made it into kind of a comedy.
Made it into a joke because he's an ass clown. But that's the end of our show here, people. We're gonna wrap things up here just slightly bit early. So let's go ahead and give you guys a chance to promote anything you got coming up. Rick, you were here last, so you get to go first. Go ahead.
I've just got more reviews. I'll be working my way through the Omen franchise. So I've got Final Conflict, the TV movie, the remake, and then the first Omen, assuming I can afford to go to the movies. And then I also have the Next Go Wins by Taika Waititi waiting for me. So yeah, that's it, and just more reviews. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, everyone.
All right then, Rob.
Hi, everybody. My Twitter account's back. So after 3 months, I got my original Twitter account back, which is great because I have a lot of great like little movie insights and reviews that I've put out there that I don't have anywhere else. So that's great. I am super behind on reviews. I barely made it through tonight's show because I am very tired, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Speaking of someone who's tired,
yeah, I just got done doing my last theme stream for April. May is going to be Star Wars theme streams, not movies, so to speak, but different aspects of Star Wars. It's also going to be Wesley Snipes May, so me and Mara are going to be talking Blade 1 and 2, as well as Murder at 1600 and Demolition Man. So stay tuned for those ones coming in the second and third week of May. Also Fridays I do Orange Hat Uncensored with Janet from Another Planet and Ruben Haynes, and Sunday is the weekly recap with me and Kate, where we talk about some different topics from the last week. So yeah, other than that, I'm trying to get the 2025 subs by the year 2025. So any help in that regard would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
All right. letting you guys know what I got coming up. So tomorrow, Spencer will not be on the 01 podcast, and I'm going to try to hijack the show for 2 hours. So that'll be tomorrow. Me, Cider, Nerdigans, and Josh on the Bounding of the Comic stream. Like I said, no stream on Friday. Next Friday, we might be doing the Fall Guy. It depends on how we feel. We'll probably see the movie beforehand, and we'll figure out whether it's even worth discussing. It's boring as hell, and I'll have a review on that coming out soon. This coming Sunday, Bible Lens podcast, we're going to be talking about how rejecting the Apostle Paul leads to apostasy. We're going to do a deep dive on that one on Sunday night. Then next week, we'll be back here with episode 89 as well. So we got a lot of things coming up here. So thank you to all the people who joined us here tonight. We had, who else we had? Leslie Tarkin, Neil Zoic, Vanya, Takis Jones, Dante, Maurice, Spencer, Banya, Doba Fett, Alex, DK, Michael, Rooftop Korean, Fisto, everyone who joined us here tonight. Thank you very much. We're going ahead and sign things off, hitting the outro and getting out of here. We will see you guys, if not on Sunday night, I'll see you guys next Tuesday night. Adios, goodbye, and we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Okay. Get out! Get out! You get the hell out!
Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James.